Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So I'm gonna go through this video. It's called Yasir Qadhi versus Yasir Qadhi. So this video was made by a person who attempted to discredit a person of knowledge, and this video has been replied to by Yasir Qadhi himself as well. But I'm gonna attempt to answer it as well because I see it's such a simple, such a basic thing that I think if a person has some knowledge, they'll be able to respond to it themselves. When I first came across it, I responded to it in the comment section. Um, so I almost responded to a lot of points of any points. I even mentioned to the people. I said, look, if there's any points about this, I can respond to it because they're such simple. Like you'll see as we go through the video, see how simple points they are, and they don't really need a response. It's like an embarrassing attempt to refute someone. Um, Okay, so I tell you the reason, like, what's the motive of me doing this, right? Because it's been a while anyway. The motive is someone just recently approached me, and they said, they mentioned this video to me to discredit this person, and I said, look, I can respond, like, I can basically refute this, or I've already kind of refuted it in the comment section. So I decided to do a video instead where I can just maybe link them the video next time, or I can tell them to check my channel where this has been done. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. So I'm going to defend the honor of another Muslim brother. I'm going to do it in parts. So it's going to be in parts because my phone doesn't have that much memory. So it's going to be in parts. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. So we'll do it in that way. Let me show you the hadith which I'm referring to. So the hadith I'm referring to is this one, where it says, whoever defends the reputation of his brother, Allah will defend his face from the hellfire on the day of resurrection. So hopefully, inshallah, I'll get this reward for defending this Muslim brother. And even though it's not like I disagree with him on many things in terms of jurisprudence, Islamic law. I follow the Hanafi school madhab, where I think he follows one madhab, or maybe he follows different opinions within that as well. So yeah, so I don't like agree with him on a lot on everything. There's some things like the issue of Ya'juj Ma'juj, which I don't agree with. There's other things that I don't agree with. So it's not that I blind follow this person. I hardly even listen to his talks. To be honest with you, it's rarely I come across some videos where I see. So I hardly even listen to this person in terms of content wise. But I respect him in the sense of his student of knowledge, and whenever I see manipulation by people or try to discredit another Muslim, that's where the ghira of a Muslim, the honor of a Muslim, or the pride of a Muslim, where he would defend his Muslim brother when he sees manipulation and distortion. So a Muslim brother's rights are a lot. So we have to make sure we defend, especially a scholar, but especially a person who has studied in Islamic institute and has knowledge. Okay, so let's go to the video and debunk it. Okay, so they start off by making like a dramatized kind of sound. So you see like the nasheed they put on. It's like a very drama kind of type. So in terms of they're trying to invoke the person emotion, if you're trying to like put this kind of nasheed on, that's a bit like a dramatized kind of one. Then they quote this hadith, which is the Messenger of Allah said, among the things that I fear most for my ummah is the misguiding scholars. So now they're assuming that they're misguided and they're portraying this to the people who are watching this. Now instead of that, let me show you another hadith. So the other hadith was saying that they can be misguided scholars that will come. But this hadith also says the scholars are the successors of the prophets, the inheritors. Verily the prophets do not pass on gold and silver coins, but rather they only impart knowledge. So this is the high rank of the scholars. So they have a high rank as well. So don't let these people portray as though there's going to be misguided scholars and that's the only ones you're going to find. There are going to be misguided scholars. However, they're assuming this guy is a misguided scholar and they're putting that label on him straight away. So let's go through the video.
I'm being honest with you. You're all طلاب العلم and studied Islamic sciences. Wallahi, I'll be honest with you. The the shubuhat that I was exposed to at Yale, some of them I still don't have answers for.
Okay, so he mentions about the doubts he had, and he's saying I still don't have answers to. So if you don't have answers to like questions or doubts that people have brought up, that doesn't make you deficient in your faith. I'll show you some hadith from Sahaba themselves where they struggled with certain things. So it doesn't make them deficient in their faith. It just means that they need more knowledge, or it means they just require time to understand this concept further, or maybe they might never understand the concept properly in terms of like there's certain subjects are very hard to grasp. Example, qadar, for example, predestination. So there's certain things that you cannot. It'll be hard to grasp even for the rest of your life. And so it's neither here nor there if a person has these questions or doubts, or you should try to reach an answer for it. But if they can't, it doesn't make them deficient in their faith. And so I think in this lecture, if I remember watching this, he was basically telling people about his experience and whatnot. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with telling your experiences in how you went to this university. Now maybe someone might be warned by that, might not even go to the university due to this reason. So it's not a negative thing; it's positive. So here we see like the companion Ubay bin Ka'b radiallahu anhu, where he was unable to kind of digest the topic of Qiraat and Ahruf, that basically the Quran has been revealed in different ways. So let's go through this report, have a look. It says, I was in the mosque when a man entered and prayed and recited the Quran in a style which I objected. Then another man entered and recited in a style different from that of his companion. When we had finished the prayer, we all went to Allah's Messenger ﷺ and said to him, this man recited in a way to which I objected, and the other entered and recited in a style different from that of his companion. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ asked them to recite, and so they recited, and the Messenger of Allah ﷺ expressed approval of the affairs, basically the modes of recitation, and then he goes, and there occurred in my mind a sort of a denial. He goes, there in my mind there was like a sort of denial which did not occur even during the days of ignorance. When the Messenger of Allah ﷺ saw how I was affected by in brackets by a wrong idea, he stroked my chest, whereupon I broke into sweating and felt as though I were looking at Allah with fear. And then the Prophet ﷺ said to me, Obey, a message was sent to me to recite the Quran in one dialect. I replied, make easy for my people. It was conveyed to me for the second time that I should be reciting in two dialects. I again replied to him, make affairs easy for my people. It was again conveyed to me for the third time to recite in 7 dialects. And I was further told, you have got a seeking for every reply that I sent you, which you should seek from me. I said, oh Allah, forgive my people, and I have deferred the third one for the day on which the entire creation will turn to me, including even Ibrahim alayhi salam. So the conclusion is, the point of this narration, why I'm mentioning this, is that a companion, he had like, if you look at the wording that's been used, let me show you. The wording is, he says, شأنهما فسقط في نفسي من التكذيب. So a sort of denial has entered in me. So this does not nullify his faith, you see. So a person having doubt or not understanding the subject matter properly, it doesn't affect them. Then obviously the Prophet then I gave him the answer, then he understood. And yep. Okay, so let's go back to the video.
But with my utmost respect, I believe that these creeds that we are wed to also have elements of human products in them. But frankly, the Sunni theological schools are very much akin to these legal schools. And we need to understand that they are human attempts to get at the truth. And you see the development of theology.
I mean, Aqidah in general, the way it's taught and studied from different schools of thought, it's taught as something black and white, something...
And every
do's
school
and
teaches
don'ts.
this,
Yeah.
and every school is incorrect in this regard. Because Aqidah is a development, and you see for yourself that there is an actual internal development.
Okay, so here what you're saying was there's some sort of development within the Aqidah. these guys like they think that he's talking about the oneness of God. Of course, there's no development in the oneness of God. There's no development in the the basic concepts, right? But then there's other concepts which that came about, like such for example, ta'wil or tathbit, in terms of interpreting, is it metaphorical? If you can interpret it metaphorically or literally, that's a discussion that came later on. When it comes to other discussions such as the creativeness of the Quran, that came later on. Like the whole discussion of it came later on. So it's a form of a development that's happening, in terms of organization. Like for example, in the Salafi creed, in the Athari creed, they talk about Rububiyyah, Uluhiyyah. Were these words uttered by the Prophet in this category? Did the Prophet said this category was like this, or is this something that was developed later? And if anyone disagrees with me on this, can you show me where the Prophet talks about uluhiyya, rububiyyah in the same manner, and asma wa sifat, and any other categories you want to add in there? So, yep. Okay, so I'm gonna end it here. Let's hear this refutation, and then inshallah we'll end it. Then I'll continue the video later on, inshallah, because we're reaching the mark.
The guy is ignorant of what aqidah is. This is wallahi stupidity. He doesn't know what aqidah is when he says this. Wallahi, when you study aqidah, this is the only way you will save yourself from the fire of hell, and this is the only or the primary way that you will increase in your love of Allah. The Salaf of the Sahaba, the Tabi'een, and the Tabi'een. These three generations were perfect in their aqidah. They had no...
Okay, so this is an old clip that they're playing. This clip is not saying that you shouldn't, like the first clip didn't say you shouldn't study Aqidah. He just says a part of human development, and he's just discussing it, right? So there's no contradiction so far with this old clip and this new clip. And the study Aqidah, of course, is going to bring you closer if you study it in the right manner.
Just as Sabrina amongst them. Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari and all of these Mu'tazili, they came after the time of the Sahaba, and some of them existed at the later generations of the Sahaba, but none of the Sahaba.
Okay, so just because he's got development of his opinions about the Ash'aris, and he's got some sort of development in terms, he understands it differently now. That just shows that his knowledge has increased, and changing your views doesn't mean that you're incorrect just because you change your views. There's many scholars in the past that change their views. The madhahibs, the imams, they have changed their views. So it's nothing major if you change your views. Okay, we'll continue the rest later because my storage is less, like my recording storage is less.